This is Chardonnay that we're picking. The crew has to pick about 8 tons of Chardonnay out of this 5-acre block. And they got the light tower again. They got their headlamps on, their safety vests. Whites are a little bit harder at night because, again, of the contrast of reds with the green leaves is one thing, but when you've got whites with green leaves, it's a much harder contrast. So it takes a little bit more effort to focus on what they're doing and making sure they pick up all the fruit, even from the floor and or from the vine. So we have a better monitoring system here. Monitors being those that kind of walk behind the bucket, making sure nothing's missed, that the guys are essentially getting all the fruit harvested and put into the half-ton boxes. So it's a little bit more of a support system, but it's an effective system. The vineyard floor is a little weedy, but it's not a huge problem for the guys. They can see pretty well, as you can tell with the light. It's very open, very visual, wide rows, easy to navigate. Even for the amount of leaves that are coming off with the clusters into the pans, virtually you see everybody go into their pans and pick out the leaves or leaf fragments as much as possible. So virtually there's no leaves going to the winery. And yes, it is a little extra effort to reach in there and grab for leaves, but the guys are not getting paid for leaves, they're getting paid for the fruit. So it's up to them to really try to self-monitor and regulate the leaving thing. Yeah, a few leaves are always going to be acceptable, but not wads of leaves. So it's always very interesting to see that nobody's yelling at them for leaves or for things other than grapes. We call that MOG, M-O-G, material other than grapes. You can see how clean the fruit is going into the half-ton boxes as well as what's in the pick and pans themselves. And we do need to have leaves, especially on the western panel, southwestern panel, just to protect it from sunburn on the hot days that we incur periodically through the growing season. So we can't strip all the leaves off above the clusters ahead of time. We have to maintain a certain amount of leaves for protection, like a umbrella in your backyard when you're having your picnic. Same kind of thing. You don't want the guests to be burning up. What we're observing here in a lot of the leaves, and again it's mostly soil driven, is really potassium deficiency, where we have the interveinal chlorosis, interveinal meaning the area between the veins, where the interveinal area is very yellow pale and the burning on the margins. We need to actually get a lot of potassium on into the soil and maybe some calcium as well in the form of gypsum. And you can see it's pretty pronounced throughout the vineyard. That hampers the ripening process. What I mean by that, it slows the ripening process down if there's not a sufficient amount of potassium. It could be corrected by applying potassium through the drip system to get it into the root zone, especially post-harvest. Without the lights, it's definitely very dark, as you can see here behind the light tower where the crew is behind us. And again, with the artificial lights, we figured we get sufficient lighting for visibility of seeing what's going on out here as they're harvesting. We try to provide 1 light tower per crew of 8 pickers. We feel that's sufficient lighting for that crew to get their job done pretty effectively. Prior to this picking today, we had about 3/4 of an inch of rain. And because of the openness of the canopy and the openness of the clusters, in other words, the berries are not really very tight in these clusters, it allowed the rainwater to actually go on through the berries, and therefore we don't have to worry about the risk of rot happening. And that's not the reason why we're picking today. That it was on the schedule prior to the rain event. The forecasters had said we'd get between 1/10 to 1/4 inch, and it turned out to be more than 3/4 of an inch of rain. But again, the point is that because the clusters are open, they're small, the Chardonnay is very small clusters, because of the clone and the openness of the whole canopy itself and some drying winds, that we were able to mitigate having any potential rot problems. And rot could be a serious problem at this time of year, especially in whites and some reds, especially on the tight clustered varieties such as Zinfandel, Petit Syrah, any Pinot Noir, Chardonnay in general, Sauvignon Blanc, but those varieties are for the most part are already harvested. But the point is, with the loose clusters and a good canopy management program, we had that rain event, it came in, went, and we're not seeing any evidence of botrytis starting out here at all.